people need a small home, a small investment. Some kind of investment needs to be made. If it wasn't in a home, then it's in a business. It's something that is leaning toward a future or retirement, just responsibilities just to accept, to prove that you are not immune in your brain to the fact that something could happen and you need that investment. Just have some savings, some investment, something. And what I'm finding is our men of late, these are guys that came to me in a forum. I told you I meet a lot of people. In this forum, like several men told me they don't have any of this stuff. And it worries me. Because this was a dating forum. This was a matchmaking forum where men and women get together to talk about the kind of things that they're looking for in their life and the future that they want to have. And it seemed that a lot of these guys were highly shocked that the women in the group had really interesting careers and that a lot of them were leaders and in leadership in their companies. That several of them had several degrees, a lot of them were traveling, going abroad, and some of them were living abroad out of the United States, out of North America. And these men hadn't done any of this stuff. They're just sitting there. Now, these happen to be American guys. They're, in this particular group, it's pretty homogenous. There were just guys from all over the United States, but they pretty much, these guys were straight. There were no this is not a it's not a mixed group. They were all straight men, predominantly Caucasian men, and they were ranging between age 21 to I think in their 70s, and it just seemed to be like they were admiring the ladies in the group and saying, "Oh, that's great that you've accomplished all these things. That's fantastic." But they themselves did not have a lot of the same things that the women had, and I thought it was very interesting. You know, they didn't have these things. They didn't have what a lot of the ladies felt were basics, like a college education, a car, and an investment of some sort, whether it was a side business or it was a home. They didn't have any of these things. Not all of them, but quite a few. I'd say probably 75% of the men in the group did not have, and I shouldn't say did not, but they don't. They still don't. The forum is still going on. And I'm just curious, like, why? What's going on that these guys are somehow living on just, they don't, some of them don't have degrees, they didn't go to college, they've got a job some kind of way in offices. Some of them are managers. I see a lot of people are security guards. A lot of them have just, you know, I don't know what the average job is. I don't know what a normal job is. I don't know what that is, but it ranges. Some people are in media, some guys are in construction, some guys are retired. A lot of them, and they don't really have those degrees. They don't have, you know, the education or the experience in the workplace or in entrepreneurship. They don't have any of those things. And I think about these ladies, and a lot of them are not super wealthy, but they have what they need, and they could use some help. They could use a great partner to pair their resources and go forth and have wonderful things. And I just feel shocked that these ladies went through all that education, spent all that money, they have investments, they have their car, they have, you know, a business or a home, and yet they're on the same pay scale in some cases as some of these guys. So it makes me feel like, okay, the men didn't go to school, but they're making the same amount of money as the ladies. The ladies have taken what they have invested it, But these guys have not. Some of them are living with their parents, which is fine. I get it. We're in a time where that just sometimes happens. Some of the men are living in apartments, modest apartments, but they do consider luxury vacations to be things like going to Hawaii or going to Cancun or something like that, or taking a trip to New York. Um, and it's just, there's just something that just seems like it's off a bit there. I don't know what in the world is going on, that someone else worked a whole lot harder, has a whole lot they have a whole lot more in education, yet they're still getting paid the same as a person who went straight from high school to the workplace. And how that person managed to go from high school into the workplace without a degree, yet these ladies knew they had to get a degree in order to get the jobs they have. That's questionable. I'm just, something seems kind of odd. Now, the main thing of this is the fact that a lot of these men, and men that we're running into, even myself, I'm running into guys who are well into their 50s who don't own a thing. They've not bothered. They're just like, nah, I just never did. I just never got a house. I never got a new car. I never got, they're just sort of getting by in life and okay with that. It's sort of what one woman called it, the mediocre, the whatever. And it seemed that if they met a lady who had more, that they were angry about it. They weren't like, oh, well, that's what she wants and let her have it and good for her and I'm whatever. They were angry, like, well, she thinks she's better. I was like, no, you think she's better. She hasn't said a word. You think she's better. In your mind, what she has is considered better because she never said anything. I'm seeing a lot of guys who are just angry with ladies for not being without. And I say this, if you are in your 50s or your 60s or even 20 and you meet a girl and she's younger than you or older and she has more things such as the basics like a car and a home and an investment, and you don't, and you are angry with her because she doesn't, why is it that everyone has to be where you are? What makes you to be the standard for man? What makes you to be the standard for anything? Why does somebody have to have what you have on your level or lower than you? I talked to a guy who said something along the lines of, well, let's just face it, women are supposed to be the submissive ones, and men are supposed to, they feel like they need to protect the woman and do for her and be able to provide for her. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, if she had to provide for herself until she met that man, is it her fault? Is it a bad thing or a negative thing that she had to buy a home because she didn't want to live on the street? Is it wrong that she purchased a car because she didn't want to have to ask her friends to take her places? What is wrong with having the basics? And even if she didn't have the basics, maybe she has a huge mansion and she lives in an ideal area, a secluded, gated community where the average income is $200,000 to $300,000 a year. Is that wrong? Was she supposed to wait on a man to give that to her? You all tell me that. Tell me. Send us a note. OurMoneyChats@gmail.com. OurMoneyChats on Twitter. Thanks for listening.